And your spiritual experience, Amun, what is it?
No, I was just gonna share this dream that I had yesterday.
Very good.
I was with my daughter. I was with my daughter and my grandkids, and it was just real beautiful. It was just like almost like forest. I mean, the trees were just so huge and green and beautiful and stuff. And I was sitting there hugging the trees and just loving on the trees and just the whole environment and stuff. And then it was this spring that was in the air, and I could tell that it was having issues and stuff. And then like it started coming down to us, like where me and my grandkids were and stuff. And I hurried up and got them out the way. But
you said airplane?
Yes, it was an airplane, and I could see that it was in trouble, and it started diving down. And I moved in, the grandbabies out the way real quick and stuff. And I was telling them, I was like, shoot, if I wouldn't have moved as fast as we did, because it was almost, I don't know, it was kind of weird. Like, even though it was moving down, it was like, it wasn't fast. I don't know how else to describe it. But anyway, it didn't come like all the way down. It passed by, and then like turned around in this weird curve. I mean, because the way it landed was real weird and stuff like that. But it was, far enough away, and then it like slid and all of this crazy stuff. But nobody got hurt on the plane or whatever. The plane just, I couldn't see any passengers or anything like that. And then I just proceeded to someone was talking to my daughter, and I was talking to him about, these plans that I had and stuff like that, which actually the conversation that me and my daughter were having with this guy was meshing into this reality about how I used to go out of town for like 6 to 8 months out the year, sometimes on vacation, and how she killed some of my plans and stuff like that. Yeah, so, yeah. But I thought that was real interesting how, just meshing in this reality.
Well,
just that conversation.
That is something to watch out for, because you can control your reality and your future. And a lot of times the Most High will give us a heads up through what we describe as the dream that is really a timely warning. So just watch your steps and trace them and carefully plan your steps in the future, okay? All right, who has that next spiritual experience? Yeah. Go ahead, brother. We need everybody here that's been silent to start asking you questions. This is your class, your format, your time. It's your family.
Okay, well, let's roll on. I got some questions.
Very good.
I got quite a few.
All right, I'll do my best.
All right, now, all right, question one. Do angels actually have wings?
No. They only signify that they have wings to insinuate flight, right? For example, when you look at the book of Revelations, a lot of the scriptures that John gives of, Armageddon, he speaks about the tanks and the future phone, start future phone. He speaks about the tanks and the weaponry and the airplanes as flying tigers with teeth and women with long hair. When he's talking about propellers, and he's talking about tanks that's firing bombs, what have you, but he describes them as scorpions with stings in their tails and what have you. Or in Ezekiel, they talk about a wheel within a wheel, because at that time, the most prominent geometric form that they had was the wheel, the most advanced. So you understand that when they have statues, what have you, with wings on them, they're trying to strongly suggest that whoever these beings were, they were celestial, and they had the ability to fly. Are you following me? Whether spiritually or in crafts. Because at that time, birds were the only thing that they knew of that could fly. And of course, they had wings. So to suggest flight, they would put wings on people as well, okay?
Okay.
All right. Next question.
Question number 2. Do the Anunnaki look like melanated people, or do they look like reptiles?
Both.
What are
Anunnaki? Anunnaki, they're a host of extraterrestrial beings. Anunnaki really marks an event, because a great powerful leader in the heavens is Anu, which means the heavenly one. Some of you refer to him as Allah, right? But Anu is in charge of a large craft called Nibiru, if many of you have heard that before. Nibiru, or Planet X, Big Red. It's about 3.5 times larger than planet Earth, and it has north and south on it, has an atmosphere, and you have many species that live on it. It is an ascension craft, meaning that it's both a living soul and inanimate objects like jewels and gold, etc., and many different metals. And the beings that control that are the Anunnaki. As a conglomerate, a group, Anu is the head of them. And when he sent a fleet down to the planet Earth, the event was marked by extraterrestrial craft that we refer to as sham. Right, we call them sham. They're round crafts with a big hole in the center. They look like a crown, basically, that goes on a person's head. These crafts have 50 seats in them, capable of carrying 50 passengers, of course. But there are many different species. They're primarily, Starship Chiffon. Mute your phone. They're primarily, like all extraterrestrials, melanite beings. There's somebody trying real hard to block this class, and I'm sending a personal curse on them and everything in their environment. Now, that's why you always told by Panabab Anu that in the event of you're taken up, and I've taken many people up on shams to the Crystal City, for example. Don't be surprised by who sits next to you on a sham. It could be a being that looks like a praying mantis. But before you lurch and look shocked and disgusted, remember that you look just as creepy to them as they do to you. And what brings you all together on these shams as part of the event you call Anunnaki, which is those that Anu sent to Earth in 50s, is that at the level of your consciousness, you all agree on the fact of the oneness, and you can live in harmony on that fact. Because at the core of everything and everyone in creation is the reality that we all share. We are all Pa'afaut. We are all one with all, and all is one with us. So we're all spiritual beings having a physical experience in many different forms. Let me try to simplify it for you. If you all are Anunnaki here, then you have male and female. It's a different form, but it's the same oversoul. Are you following me? So, like I said, if you were a praying mantis or a reptilian, you have to understand that your core is the same as Faut, or divine love. And that's the primary attribute of divine love. And know that the only reality is divine love. And everything else is mere illusion. When you get what you call a devil, is when you get somebody that's resisting or rebelling against the reality of divine love and unity. And they want to be their own, what they want to be is devils in heaven. And they get very upset when they're not allowed, or when they're cast out of heaven and there's no more space found for them there at all. And that's what's happened here. So what you call the devil has come down in great anger. Remember, originally in the heavens, there was the Most High and his grand assembly of angels, many different types. You had Seraphat, Garubat, Phanim, archangels. You follow? You have many different species of angels that he called Ifrit, glaring red tribe of the jinn. You know, but he called them all together one day in a grand assembly and informed them that he was about to create a man of sounding clay of black mud fashioned into shape, and that when he had made complete his form and blown into his nostrils of his breath, that is from out of the core and essence and being of the Creator himself, he commanded all the angels in heaven to fall down and prostrate, that's to pray in submission to that man. Of course, all the angels in heaven complied and followed the command, bowed down to the man, except one that was called Iblis. He refused, was haughty and proud, and when asked by the Creator why he didn't submit to the others when commanded, his response was is that I'm better than he is. You created me before him of a smokeless fire. You created him of a black loam of sounding clay. You created me of a smokeless fire. I am better than he is. I will not bow to it. And the Creator said to him, surely I know best what I created, making reference to the fact that he had blown his essence into the temple of this earthen vessel called a man. Because the devil's only excuse is that I've always bowed to you and obeyed you in everything since you created me. Never once have I disobeyed you. Right? And one of the stellar laws was never to bow to anything except the Creator, the source alone. And him alone should you worship. So the devil explored the 90 points of the law for his salvation like a tricky lawyer, and he came up with, I didn't bow down to him because I would have been breaking your commandment of not to bow to anyone but you. He thought that was a heavy argument, but it didn't hold water, because the Creator said, when I made complete his form and blown into his nostrils of my breath, my essence, my soul is going in there. So that means that when you bow to the man, you are bowing to him. Surely he does know best what he created. And with that, the devil was cast down. He said, then get down out of it. Hate it. No more divine love. Hated and cursed until the day of resurrection, till the appointed time, the time made known, the 6,000 years, would end it in the year 2000. Begrudgingly, the devil begged, like a person on death row for a stay of execution. He said, please respite me until the day that they are raised. Because I've obeyed you in everything since you created me. I've never once disobeyed you. And the Creator said, okay, I grant you respite till the appointed time. The 6,000 years is up. And when he was cast down, the devil said in anger, certainly I will lie in their straight path, talking about you people here on earth. I'll come at you from your left, your right, above you, beneath you, before you, and behind you. And he told the Most High, you will not find most of them thankful. So if you're weak or evil, he's got you. Except those of the purified ones, against them I have no authority. Right? So the devil has come down in great anger because he feels the only reason he's not in heaven anymore, he was kicked out, was because of you. Because of you, man. And he makes a distinction when he lands on the moon. He said, and I quote, this is another small step for man, because he knows you've been celestial travel since the dawn of history. You are the ones that depicted with the wings. His wings have been plucked. He's been cast down. He fell and he can't get up. when they landed this on the moon, they said there's another small step for man, but a giant leap for mankind. Because the monkey never been to the moon. Now, if you cross a human and a monkey and say it fast, you'll come up with the right answer. That's right. That's mankind, a kind of a man. Because they've been mixed as bestiality and the curse of leprosy. They have a threefold curse laying at, which is a physical curse, and then Rajim, which is spiritual. Laying that means that they were cursed with leprosy, like Moses' older sister Miriam was by the Most High, cursed white as snow. When you see on TV that they have these skin problems, and one of the diseases they complain about is rosacea, and these big red blotches and scaly skin and rosacea. You hear the word rose in there? Like the War of the Roses? I'm going to say leprosy. Do you hear the word rose? Leprosy. Rosy cheeks. Do you hear that? That redness. That was the curse. And Rajim, also a spiritual curse, that for those who rebelled, the Most High has given their minds over to Simjaza or Iblis. So they're no longer capable of independent thought. They just think they are. So that when they would do good, evil is still found with them.
You hear me?
They think, yes, I can hear you. Where you at? Where you calling from?
Texas.
Where you calling from? Oh, I got you.
Texas.
Okay. Very good, family. But that's the problem. That's the problem. That's the root of the difficulty. That's the difficulty. That's the root of the problem. They refer to it as the big accident. Another part of that is bestiality. That's part of their curse too, because they laid with the women. If you remember in the scriptures that Abraham was one of two beings that was sent up to the Caucasus Mountains to try to civilize the Caucasian, the Caucasus. And you hear the word carcass, like something dead, the walking dead. They were lepers. And it used to ooze out of all their sores. That's why they still love the dog to this day, because they would always lick the pus out of the leper's sores. And they strewn all the paths going up the mountain, up to the villages that they lived in. And they were on a 600-year timer. By that I mean that every 600 years, and it's happened again, they're at the end of their genetic strain. They're at the end of their genetic strain. They're mutated. And so now the leprosy is, even if they were a clean leper and it wasn't fretting, it's reactivated. Be careful when you shake hands with them. Yes, you may.
Who's the creator?
Okay, a little louder, please.
Who's the creator?
Rock you that.
Okay. The creator is, okay, Faud, let me tell you, is the ultimate source creator. All right? And the best definition for Faud is all. Tulum is all there is. I'll try to make you understand it by saying that all is this. You can't add to it, because where would you get it from? And you can't take away, because where would you put it? When you were a little child growing up, you would ask your parents, where is God? And they would reply, omnipresent. Baby, God is everywhere. Remember that? Everywhere at all times. Do you remember that, little sister?
Yes, sir.
You do? Can you speak up? We need to make sure you speak up and project your voice. Okay.
Yes, sir, I hear you.
Okay, so then that means that God is not Fa'ut, but whoever God is was appointed by Fa'ut, right? Selected by all, the creator of all creators, to be the Most High among supreme beings. And it was an intellectual and intellectual degrees. So the best way I can make you understand it is that because there's been more than one Most High. Anu at one time had a grandfather, Kishar, that was the Most High, and another guy named Alela was Most High at one time. But if you could imagine us, sister, all of us lining up, and there's a starter pistol, and then there's a tape at the end of a 100-yard dash. And when the guy that shoots the pistol off starts the race, we all start running, and the first one to break the tape or win the race is elected to be the Most High. The Most High is whoever is the wisest amongst us, that has the most information. You follow me? It's an intellectual race. And whoever that is becomes the Most High at that point. You understand?
Yes, sir.
And right now, the name of that being is Anu. Now, Riskians are masters and lords of the universes, of the multiverses. And these are supreme beings with 720 degrees of knowledge that have the ability to spiral up into ether, etherian beings, or to spiral back down into a physical form. Right?
Yes.
All of you have all this potential latent inside of you. Because these are things you used to know, but you have forgotten by time. So it should comfort you all to know that regardless of your exterior appearance, that the core of you, you're all Fa'ut, Kulum, divine love, because there's nothing else here except the Creator. And unfortunately for the devil, they're trying to assume the seat of the Most High, and they could never do that because there's a permanent breach between the Creator and the creation. Because nothing can rise above its source. Nothing created can ever overtake the Creator of it. Are you following me?
Yes.
And the devil has to learn that lesson, and it's going to take him a painful eternity to catch on. Because
Did you say Amun or Amun?
Anu, A-N-U,
Anu.
means the heavenly one.
A-N-U. Okay.
Okay? Is that clearer to you?
Yes, sir.
You see what it is when you ask me who the Most High is, that's almost a question that's undefinable, that's hard to describe, because we can't even imagine the Creator's place, his position, or his substance. You follow me? I've been to his throne before, and I saw his form, but that's not a description of exactly who he is. But I know as well as anybody, I'm sorry, Rahu back. You know?
I have a question about...
All right, if you could speak up a lot louder, God, I'd love it.
I have a question about the Crystal City as to, like, what it looks like when you arrive, because you said you've brought some people from, like, the classes to the Crystal City, like, what the...
Yes.
Like, what it looks like when you arrive.
What does it look like when you arrive?
Yeah, like when you enter inside the Crystal City.
All right. It's 12 doors to the Crystal City. So that you have 12,000 members of the tribes of Israel that go into each door, and 12 times 12,000 equals 144,000. So on our particular approach, when we go in, you have to understand that this is a very large craft, and it's got a lot of very narrow walkways. And you walk along these walkways, and you're instructed not to look down. You follow me? Because if you fall, that would be unfortunate. So as we walk and walk, I guide them to a place that I guess you would describe as a bay window, a large concave window that has sloping trees in front of it that slope down, that has different vegetation like tomatoes and bell peppers and greens and all these things that grow, and flowers, beautiful flowers, agriculture growing all along the windows and all the bays on the Crystal City, because the windows are taking in the sunlight to help them grow. And I line all of you up in front of those big, large windows. And then when we go at the proper time, it's an easy vantage point to look down and see the earth in as this large blue rock with clouds. And when the atmospheric conditions are right, you can describe the continents. You can see North America and Europe, etc., Africa, you know. And I ask you all to remember. Then after that visit, I load you all back up on the sham, because I only take one sham, no more than 50 passengers at once. And I usually take Panabab Yanun with me. And then we just go back to the earth, and I place you all gently back into your bodies, the same as when we have a blue light spiritual healing experience. I place you all gently back into your bodies and ask you to all wake up refreshed and energized and invigorated. And to try to remember your experience. Are you following me, son?
As for the crown-shaped shims, I know it's 50 feet around.
You got to put your mouth on. Let me ask you a favor. Put your mouth on the phone and project your voice like you're talking to somebody across the street, and they can barely hear you. Okay? Speak up loud into the phone directly.
As for the crown-shaped shims, I know it's like 50 feet around inside the ship, but is there anything else that you could describe, like as to what that looks like for the crown-shaped shims?
For the shams? Okay.
Yeah, exterior.
Okay. Well, every one of is 2 seats and they're surrounded by port windows. And they're arranged in a circle, right? And the light in there is extremely bright. So I usually surround myself with members of my personal family or disciples that are very close to me. And a lot of times I will have my mother sitting next to me, giving her a window seat, and Panabab would be sitting up and to the right of me, which he'll turn around and wave, and I'll wave at him and smile, you know, like that. I can give you a description of one time in particular. What it is you got to understand, it's a spiritual ascension. So the way that you're actually being taken up out of your body is through your own etheric cord attached to the top of your crown molar in your head. There's a thin, transparent, hollow tube about the diameter of a thread that's kind of like a cobweb. I pick you all up and take you up spiritually, and then we walk down that tunnel together. If I come and get you, for example, tonight, I'll take you someplace. I'll tell you, please stay here, son. I'll be back. You know, I got to go get others. And I'll go get you one at a time until I get you all collected together. And then I'll ask you all to follow me, and we go up the tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, there's a sham, a craft waiting that we all board on together and take our respective seats. If you have a holy tablet, I can give you a diagram and show you what it's kind of like. If you don't have a holy tablet, you can type in the holy tablets, comma, Dr. Malachi Z. York, comma, PDF. You hear me?
I've seen I've seen like the outside of the ships, and I think there was like someone that took a picture of like the Gulf Breeze, Florida, like in 19-something.
Yeah. You talking about George Walters.
Yeah,
Taking all those pictures of the shams that live under the shoreline of Gulf Breeze, Florida, right? Those are shams. That's one of our bases. No, it's Ed Walters, I'm sorry. So anybody here that's interested in the shams and to see how they look, Google Ed Walters, comma, UFO pictures, comma, YouTube, and you see them very clearly in many positions, different colors, you know, but they travel very swiftly. But I wanted to show you in chapter 7 of the Holy Tablets where men and women transform into shams, because what I want to tell you that's going to confuse you, son, is that everybody here, each one of you are within yourself a sham, a flying craft, a UFO. And every night, because your spiritual essence is a part of you, when your physical form shuts down your brain and your body for sleep, your spirit raises up in vibration and travels up the light cord of your spine, past the 7 heavens, the 7 seals, 7 chakras, however you want to describe it. When it gets to the top of the crown molar, say it again.
What are you talking about, bruh?
I'm answering this question about shams, about craft, UFO, and how each one of you are a sham or a UFO within yourself. Are you following?
I don't like black.
You don't what? What don't you like? Other than being enlightened, what don't you like? I didn't say this was easy to understand, but it's the truth. It's the reality. And if you go to the Holy Tablets in chapter 7, you can see a diagram of a man transforming into a ship, a craft. So that what I was trying to say, I was trying to tell you all before I was interrupted, is that the ball of light that's etheric, about the size of your fist, here, what page is it on? It's page 674 of the Holy, it's the diagram, it's 674 diagram number. What's the diagram number? It's diagram 105. Diagram 105, and what page again? Page 674 of the soft back Holy Tablet. Chapter 7. You can see a man transforming into a ship. Now, when the spiritual essence of you, which he blew into your body, the aspect of you that belongs to the Most High is a spiritual light in your solar plexus that give off both light and heat. Are you following me? That's why you maintain a constant body temperature of 98.6. When you exercise, you burn calories. When a person supposedly died, they become cold because the spirit of pilot leaves the body. Right? It's also why you can attain a fever and get very hot, because of that fire internally burning inside of you. And evidence of that fire is the fact that you inhale oxygen and exhale carbon. That's a sign of a chemical fire. So you scientists can look up that. And if you don't believe it, look up spontaneous internal combustion. Spontaneous internal combustion, where that white people, they try to raise their vibrations to attain their soul, and they're not melanite beings. They don't have sun heat genes. They don't have sun heat genes. So when they try to activate their soul, they burst into flame from the inside out and just be a pile of ashes in the chair. It's called spontaneous internal combustion. Look it up on YouTube. Spontaneous internal combustion. There is a spiritual light that's burning inside of you. And when that ball of light, when you go to sleep, physically your brain and body shuts down, that ball of light travels up the light cord of your spine. Your spinal column is what you want to describe as Jacob's ladder. There's 33 notches in your spine, corresponding to 33 degrees in Freemasonry. And every one of those notches in your spine is a ladder, or a rung, a step in that ladder. We are climbing Jacob's ladder way up high. You have 7 planes in your body, 7 seals, 7 chakras, 7 seats. That light starts from the number 1, the carnal seat, the gonads in the man, and the uterus in the woman. It travels up to your abdominal seat, then your navel seat, the lotus breastplate in your chest, the midway point. Then from there it raises up to the laryngeal seat, and then to the pineal gland, the third eye. Then it travels up, if you force it, into the seventh plane, the crown molar at the top of your head, the soft spot on the baby's head. That's where this etheric cord is attached. It's like the umbilical cord that attaches the baby to the walls of the uterus and the mother. So in essence, when the baby is born, the cord is cut, and the baby dies from out of one reality, is born into the next. Well, a ball of light sits inside the temple. That's not, in your case, a building down the street or a church. The temple is the place on the side of your head, next to your ear. And God is in that temple if you are vibrating in a loving and intelligent frequency. Right? This class is not designed for mortal beings or devils. You'll never understand spiritual things. You can't explain it to a physical mud being. This spiritual light goes up to the top of your crown molar to the seventh plane, raises up in vibration at the mouth of that etheric tube, causing that tube to expand in the opening like a woman dilating to give birth. And then you ascend tab, plane after plane. The spiritual you travel out of your physical temple and into that hollow tube. And you start making your ascension, and that's when you think you're dreaming, and you have a sensation like you're flying and floating in a dream. That's when you're taking flight like a sham in a light craft called a Merkaba, a bright light vehicle. When you see Jesus and Buddha and beings that are enlightened, and they have that light around their head, that aura, that's because the light inside of them in their solar plexus has risen up their spinal column and raised up the vibration at the mouth of the etheric tube, and it's gotten halfway out of their head and halfway in their body and halfway out. And what you see shining around them is the inner light. You understand? The light within man is the life in man. The light is the life in man. That's the light that's in the darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. And then you feel like you're flying and floating in a dream. You are flying. You're taking flight in a sham, I'm telling you. In a light vehicle, a sham. That's how you're flying, right? And then when you get through flying and doing whatever it is that your goal was, because whatever you think and wherever you think about, you're instantly there. No time elapses. A lot of you are dreaming and you're walking with one person, then your mind changes and you're in a total different environment with somebody else. Instantly. Because you're traveling faster than light. Because thought is faster than light. It takes light at the speed of 186,217 miles per second, 8.5 minutes to reach the Earth from the sun. Meaning when you're standing on the Earth and you wait for the first rays of the sunlight to strike your eyes in the morning, and actually when that first rays of sunlight strike your eyes, the sun was actually in front of your face for 8.5 minutes before you saw the light rays. It took light at 186,272 miles per second, 8.5 minutes. But if I ask you to think about the sun or imagine it, it doesn't nearly take 8 minutes. Thought is the fastest thing. So when you transform and raise up your spinal column in the spirit, because the spiritual body during the day when your physical form is woke in your brain, it's always grappling against your physical body. Like when you're undecided about what you want to eat. If you want to eat something else haram, you want to drink alcohol or eat a pig foot, your higher self or God inside the temple is always going to tell you, you don't need that. Stay away from that. Get a salad. Keep yourself clean. That's what God is going to tell you. It's like the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder. And they're both whispering to you, but you've been granted the free will, the sha'at, to choose between the two. So your will is a mere abstraction. It's like fire. It's not ought or not. It's not good or evil until you decide to use it to warm a baby's formula or to burn a person's house down with. So watch your will and guard your will because it's a wild beast. You have to control it. So when that light, which is the real you, the essence of you, travels out of the top of your head, then you're a free spirit. You're no longer trapped in the mud of your flesh. Then you become again an angelic being, and you can fly. And like the sister asked me, Amun, do angels have wings? No, they don't. Angels are simple electromagnetism. They're spiritual beings. But they do fly, just like you do in your dreams. You're flying then. Now, how would you describe you were flying in your? I dreamed last night I was flying. How would you depict that? How would you draw an illustration of you flying to a kindergartner, except by some way putting wings on yourself? Yes, no wings, but you have to make people understand that are physical. Dumb people and children have to understand. And you have to put wings on them in order to make them understand that you're trying to say, I was flying. Okay? And then after you get through flying, you slide back down that tube. You felt like you were falling sometime, but you weren't falling. You never came from the ground, so you don't hit the ground. You slide back down that tube and pop back into your head and reanimate your flesh. When you're inside the temple, what happens a lot of times is many of you all want to just instantly move, and you can't move right away. Old people say it's a witch riding your back. It's called sleep paralysis. You have to be patient enough to allow that light to travel back down the light cord of your spine, back down 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, all the way down and get properly reseated in the solar plexus so that it can trigger electrical impulses through nerve ganglia to affect certain fibers in your muscles in your arms and hands, and then eventually your feet and toes, so that when you shoot electrical impulses, it causes the fibers to contract and expand in certain ways to make you be able to manipulate your fingers or operate your body again. Then you can stand up and operate that earthen vessel you in again. That's the illusion. You're not that body. You're not that situation. You're only watching that happen from above. The problem is that people have been on earth in these physical forms so long that they've forgotten, and it's just like you're driving a car, and that body is a car driver, a vehicle, like a car body. And people that drive cars and trucks and things so long, they start thinking that they're an extension of the car, or it's an extension of them. You follow me? Because when you were first born into that physical form, and they would give you an apple or a bottle, you would reach, and they try to hand it to you, you would reach the wrong way. Or if they try to get you to walk, you would trip up on your legs, and you would get frustrated and start crying because you didn't know how to operate that thing. But the more you started practicing with it, the more control you got over it. So now you can walk and even run, and some of you can write cursive and do it ambidextrously. You can do it with your right and left hand. You got so much control over your body till you're starting to think it is you. It's not you. You're a spiritual being having a physical experience. And yes, you always could fly. You understand? And you take flight in shams. That's what I'm trying to say to you, little sister. If you had the courage to stay here and an open enough, intelligent mind to want to learn. Okay? I love you all. I want you to know that. But please don't question things you don't understand. You know what I mean? In other words, just if you have questions, just ask me more questions until it becomes as clear as possible. Which room was it? That was 712? All right. I love you. Okay, little brother, what was your question? Thank you.
Would you be
what was your question, little brother? You got to talk a lot louder.
Would you be able to describe how to use telekinesis on smaller objects, like in your room, like bottle caps or like charger heads?
Okay, wait, I don't understand. You're mumbling and you got to talk a lot loud. You see how loud I'm projecting my voice? It's because they're doing everything to dumb the communications down. Please understand that and make sure that we all hear and understand every single word. Go ahead.
Would you be able to describe how to use telekinesis on smaller objects in a room, like bottle caps and chargers?
Will I be able to explain how to do what, the little objects in a room? Go ahead.
Would you be able to describe how to use telekinesis on small objects in a room, like chargers and...
Telekinesis? Yes.
Yes.
What he's talking about is moving objects with your mind, right? And I'll give you an example of that tonight at 10:30 if you stay in class, because I'm going to allow you to move stars and the moon or the whole creation with your mind, okay?
Okay.
All right, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Big fact.
That's right. You're going to be moving the moon if you see it. Yeah.
I want to add it. I think it's considered a spiritual.
Okay. Who else has a question?
I have a question.
Very good. Anybody want to get an example of what the brother's talking about? Just Google the word telekinesis and comma YouTube, and you see many examples of people using their mind to move objects with. Go ahead, son. What is your question?
Just sitting in the room and seeing random smoke pass by.
Smoke? Okay, very good. I know what that is. I know you're telling the truth. He's not making that up. You want to know what that is, son?
Yes, sir.
What that is, it's not smoke. That's not what it is. It's a mist, like a mist. You understand? And what that is interdimensional elders, Elohim elders, that are coming into your environment to try to shift the polarity from negative to positive, right? For example, if you in a room with somebody and they sit in a chair to the left of you, you might see that mist come up and and move between you. You understand? You wonder if somebody's smoking. It looks like smoke, right? When you see it through your peripheral vision, it looks like smoke or something. But it's a mist, and it's the elders in an etheric form that are interdimensional, and they're coming into this reality to move between you, to shift the polarity from a person having negative thoughts that you don't sense. They do. They're shifting the polarity from negative to positive, okay?
That's true.
I experienced that. I experienced that many times. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I just said how it happened.
Oh, I love you. I just want people to know what you said right there. It was not a joke. It was real. You asked a real question. And I love you for that. Next question.
I have a question.
I'll do my best.
While I was reading the Holy Tablet like a few months ago, I was going past a picture of Yanun, and like the picture was like literally smiling at me. And then once I got past that picture, I got to, because I was just looking through I got a new copy of the Holy Tablet, so I was just looking through the pictures. They were way more clear. But yeah, the Yanun picture was like looking at me, and I thought I was, going crazy or whatever.
I understand. No, you're not. No, you're not going crazy. Okay.
I got to a picture of Zoser.
A lot of times that happens with the Mona Lisa. With the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci, people seem like the eyes are following them around the room. Now, Father Bab Yanun has that ability to do that, to see you through his pictures. Okay? That's why many of you young people don't know, but maybe 15 or 20 years ago, he sent a message out to the world saying to all of the Wabians, take all the pictures of me that you have on your walls down. Take them down. Because I can see you through those pictures. I can see you, and I don't want to be seeing you at private times or when in other words, he's disturbed by a lot of things he sees. Are you following me? He's a master. He is an Ilmu-Tajazadat, an avatar, divine incarnated in flesh. And it's no different than me because I'm also an avatar, an Ilmu-Tajazadat, just waking up to my potential abilities. That's why at 10:30 tonight, regardless of whether you're in Africa, Australia, or anywhere in the world, and even out of this world, I can make a mind link with you, and if you look at a particular star or the moon, I can make a mind link with you as long as you're vibrating on my frequency, and I can see the star that you're looking at through your eyes. Through your eyes, son. Do you understand? And if you got the Holy Tablets, I can take you to chapter 19 and make this a lot clearer to you. Would you want to see it? You want to go to chapter 19 and see?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right. Hand me my
sir.
tablets. Yeah. Everybody, we going to the Holy Tablets, chapter 19.
Are the pictures that you're referring to the picture of the prophets, and then the
Yeah,
one
what you see in the first to the last picture, you see the Riskians descending from the Shams, right?
Yes.
Right.
Right.
All right. Okay. So you see all these different elders, including Yanun, he's on the ground first with the children, right?
Right.
So you see him coming down to earth, right? Now, if
Right.
Amun's time, the first half hour was 1970 to 2000. That was Yanun or Malachi's time to rule, the first half hour. The second half hour from 2000 to 2030 is my time to rule, and it's my responsibility to get you all up by year 2030. So go to the last picture, and examine it carefully. I'm also Ahmed, Muhammad, the three Mims, do you understand, that make up Al-Hayu, the life giver, along with Father Bab Yanun. Are you following me? If not, I can clarify for you. So you see in the middle of the picture you have Mustafa Muhammad. In the middle of the picture you have Mustafa Muhammad Alameen, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, right? Right?
Yes.
And then you have Ahmed, the Mahdi, standing next to him, right?
Yeah.
Those are both me. Now, you see there's an etheric tube coming out of the head of Muhammad. You see Muhammad got an etheric cord going up to the Crystal City? You see it?
Yeah.
Son, do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Now look in that etheric tube right there, and you can see all those people dressed in white. You see them, all that big crowd of people, up to 144,000, coming up through my head as Ahmed, going up to, I'm taking y'all up to the Crystal City. Do you understand that? And I'm also in the personage of Yahshua, what y'all call Jesus. You see at the head of the crowd of people going up, you see me dressed in white? Well, that's me. That's me at the top, leading all y'all up to the Crystal City. Do you see that, son?
Yes.
And you see the angelic beings up there for the little sister, no, for Amun that asked about, do angels have wings? They're depicted with wings there to denote that they're capable of flight. Do y'all understand understand me?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, I just want to let you know, so as we go through things, I want to try to wake you all up in as much as I can, okay? Okay. Now, let's go to chapter 19, tablet 6, and we'll get back on answering your question with more. We're going to throw more light in blind corners, okay? We need everybody that can access the Holy Tablets, and that's everybody that has a computer or a phone, to type in Holy Tablets, comma, Dr. Malachi Z. York, comma, PDF, and hit search, and you have the Holy Tablets, and go to chapter 19, tablet 6. Hold on. Wait. Anu. See, I don't want people to go away from class talking about Amun said this. I prove everything I say. Okay, tablet 6. Are you ready, son? Chapter 19, tablet 6. Are you ready?
Yes.
Why? Let me say something. I can tell you're a grown man or close to it. Project your voice big, son. I tell you, we have trouble hearing because they're trying to block the classes. Don't you see they're doing everything in their black and white reptile power to block the classes? Talk up like I'm doing. I'm being an example for you. You can't teach like that, going, yeah, like a little fly. You got to talk up, project your voice. The voice of many thunders. Okay, tablet 6. Zodok, Melchizedek. Lo then Elilo, the supreme being, commanded all the souls of creation to look at my form. You talk about yourself, Yanun. And I incarnated in the form of Melchizedek, Maliki Tezdik, Malachi Zodok. And I'm like this too. And then I incarnated in the form of El-Kut. Then I incarnated in the form of Yanun. I am from Risk, the 8th planet in the 19th galaxy Ilion, far outside this one. about 76 trillion light years. I am sent here to give you the true guidance out of your past that has become your future and has returned to warn you. I came from the planet Risk by way of Nibiru. You call it Jannat, that means the garden. Our solar system is within the 19th galaxy on this side of the first warp called the black hole. We have a tri-solar system of 19 planets and 8 and 30 moons. Some planets have moons while others don't. I come from the 8th planet of the 19th galaxy called Ilion. The planet Risk is a great planet that gives a great deal of energy, originally having 2 moons, but now 1. From the planet Nibiru, we can see 3 suns and 1 moon. Yanun also is spelled Yanun, Yaanuwn, and the beings of my planet live and look much like you humans, or human beings of Earth. We are called Riskian or Anunnaki, right? So for people who want to know, we are called Riskian by some, and Anunnaki depends on the culture, right? We're called Anunnaki by the Sumerians in Mesopotamia, right? We're called Natiru by the Egyptians, okay? We're called Riskians or Anunnaki or just the Elohim. I am one of the teachers of the 19th galaxy, so am I. He and I are one. I try to raise your consciousness, me too, so that when the ship returns in the lunar logging of the 12th point in August in the year 2003 of the Gregorian calendar, in other words, if you all know anything about the Philadelphia experiment with the USS Eldridge in 1943, they had 3 generators, the scientists, Nikola Tesla, and what have you. They opened Al Bielek. They opened up a time-space continuum by trying to create an invisibility project to cloak the United States naval vessels so that they could shoot people without being seen, so they could be shot or targeted. One of the 3 generators failed, and so they rigged one because the Navy was pressed for time and didn't give them time to do it correctly. They nigger-rigged a generator, and then they boarded the U.S. Eldridge with live sailors. And unfortunately, one of them was a sailor about to get married. He was at the altar with his to-be bride, and the MPs were looking for him. They came in and arrested him because he left his ship and took him by force away from the altar and made him get on board the USS Eldridge. And they didn't understand that love was such a powerful factor that it kept drawing him back to his bride. So that when they hit the generators, the ship started blinking in and out. And you had a lot of UFOs being snatched down the vortex into this realm. And they were very upset about that. And when Al Bielek and the other scientists saw what was happening, it was out of control. They knew it instantly what happened. So they took an axe, tried to cut the cables, and they jumped overboard into Montauk Bay. And then they came up for air after they plunged into the water, and it was the naval brass was standing out there in uniform, said, "Gentlemen, we've been waiting for you a very long time." But it was 43 years later in 1983. And every 10 years since then, you've been having a stargate or a vortex open up. And time has begun to dock with itself. Every time it does, you're getting close to absolute zero time. The time is becoming now. So in 1943, and then 1953, it opened up again, 1963. And Malachi is talking about when it opened up in 2003. Now, 2013, 3/26/13, I was taken up along with Panabab, right? And it opened up again this past 2023. And none of you were taken up because we'd be hearing about it. So now the problem is the time is up in 2030. Your grace period is up. So it's my job, Amun, to make sure that the 144,000 are already transformed and taken up by the year August 12, 2030. But it won't be on a 10-year marker. There won't be no 2033 for the vortex to open. So I'm going to have to raise you all's consciousness up so that you can turn yourselves inside out and take flight like shams on your own. I'm trying to tell people to listen to what I'm saying. The little sister talking about she don't like this and all that. I understand, but if you don't like what I'm telling you, you're not going to make it out of here. If you have questions, I understand it. Let me answer them for you as best as I can. You're talking to somebody that was taken up. I know through experience what this is. But let me finish reading to you in the book. All right. Okay, 18, let me go back. I try to raise your consciousness so that when the ship returns in the lunar log of the 12th point in August in the year 2003, and it did return then, of the Gregorian calendar, when the gate or great vortex will reopen and this planet called Earth positions itself in the location of revolution of the planets, and they all are in line as in the lunar logging of the 5th point in May in the year 2000 of the Gregorian calendar, you will be ready. You have psychic powers. You must use them. I was bred for you, so was I. I came from a star feed of people who are scientists and astrologers. We're teachers, right? They are the ones who keep the Akasa Akastic records. They keep the logs of everything that takes place in all the planets. The planet that I come from, each being lives to be 1,000 years old. As Etherians or etheric beings, in our perfected state, we live trillions of years, a time system beyond your comprehension at this point. When in our incarnated state, we each live 20 and 100 years or less, 120 years. Your atmosphere created by your sun, a dying star, causes us true melanites to age and die much more rapidly because it alters our chemistry and reduces our state. So to stay there for 1,000 years would be like staying here for a day. That's where you get the saying, 1,000 years to the Most High, to you is like one day to the Lord. In our original state, we live 1,000 earth years. That's why you have in Mesopotamia all these kings list, where kings live all these thousands of years, the ancient Anunnaki in Mesopotamia, right? A whole star fleet came to Earth in ether form. That was in 1970. I can show you in the Injil. It was 29 of us that year of the opening. 1970 was the year of the opening, and Italian astronomers logged that as the most spectacular stellar event that they had ever witnessed. When they saw a bright comet object, they called it Bennett, the bright star, but it was actually 29 of it. But Yanu's light shone the brightest, so they called him Bennett. But in Hebrew, Ben means son, like Ben-Hur means son of her. Benat means children, plural. It was 29 of us, I'm telling you. All right? And 4 of us were going to be naked eye. You'll be able to see us with our eye, like Elijah, Muhammad, myself, Malachi, and eventually Moses. Right? But the other elders are carrying out a very necessary drive, unseen, like the mist beings the brother was talking about, that he described as smoke. Right? A whole star fleet came to Earth in ether form. The beings on my planet are human beings very similar to Earth people. See? And people pretending to notice, they only pretending to your hurt and theirs. Except the supreme beings, the elite or etheric Etherians, incarnated into a form. That was us. Their height is 7 feet tall. The shape of their eyes are different. They have large black pupils with the white of their eyes, and they also have other glands and organs transplanted into them, into the human bodies we came into, right? The color of their skin is green as the greenest of olives, making them able to adjust to any planet's atmosphere except those with dying stars like Earth, right? They are called the Elos, and as a group they are referred to as Anunnaki. They have 9 ether. When traveling, we can incarnate to look like any being or creatures we choose, as long as we do some brain adjustments and organ adjustments, then become as Elamutajazaret, that means divine incarnated in flesh, or Elo incarnated into flesh, Elah. It is when a person is born that the Elamutajazaret incarnates into them. In other words, when we came in 1970 to Earth, Yanun, he dropped down as a light being, a Markable, a movable throne. The light I told you that shines around the head of Jesus as an aura, which is actually the angel Gabriel inside of him. The same Gabriel, angelic being as the messenger, that was on the mountain with Moses when Tahuti was describing the Old Testament to him, and he was standing by a bush, and it looked like to him that the bush was on fire. They called it the burning bush because the light of the angelic being, Gabriel, was shining through the bush like a fire. Do you understand? All right. Our eyes embody complete mastery of the transcending of the physical world. One of the reasons we come to earth is because man began to lean towards corruption. And the negative karma we call quadri or aura on the earth begins to dominate. This negativeness in the total living organism, which we are all a part of, different densities, yet in a quantum state, affects us all. In other words, if you walk and you step on the tiniest ant, it affects the Most High, so that the sword and the sheath on the side of his waist on his throne vibrates, it shakes. When you step on just a tiny earthworm or an ant and kill it, it makes the sword and the sheath on his side on the throne tremble. It radiates. It's like it affects everything in existence. Therefore, when you think of angels, it is us who you think of, and your call is being answered. Your prayers are heard. So we descend to earth. That's what the last picture you saw, before the last, right, when they were descending to earth, and it's me taking you back up. And have become flesh and body like man in order to help man. The disagreeable Hindu avatar that came down were the 200 fallen angels, and the Hindus are descendants of them. Those beings who arrived thousands of years ago were hermaphrodites. In other words, they were male and female. Those, because you see, as angelic beings, you're not male or female, you're God. You don't have a gender. So we had to choose a gender in order to exist here in this realm of opposites. You know, like day and night, up and down, hot and cold. We had to create the illusion of separateness and split. Okay, looking human in all respects, yet with slight variations. And each being only lives for 20 and 100 years in physical form, you would not be able to tell the difference between any other human being on earth. In the etheric form of light, you call us spirits. And the supreme beings you refer to as Holy Spirits or the Holy Ghost, like Gabriel, my father, right? Because we know the formula of the chemistry of the human body. We know how to alter molecules and dematerialize through magnetism, and the tetrahedron science matters at will. By using magnetism, we use the parts of the human brain that are not being used, and live in parts of their cells that they don't use as of yet. In other words, when Yanu and I came down, he went into the body of an infant boy, a brown, copper-toned, greenish baby boy in 1945 at the stroke of 12 during the height of a thunderstorm. So that would, and I went into Charity Hospital into a brown-skinned, reddish baby boy, Larry Darrensburg, into one of his cells in 1951 at the height of a thunderstorm at the stroke of 12. And we hid inside those cells. The reason why we hid inside those cells is because it wasn't our time. So we remained dormant in them until it was time for us to grow forward. You understand? And start moving stars and healing AIDS and cancer and all these things, and teaching you what we're teaching you now. Because we were mortal beings like you. We didn't know who we were. Okay? Now it's time for us to come forward. And many of you have that in you, and you're starting to feel surges of it, and you're feeling grandiloquent, egotistical about it, running around hollering about your God. You got to control. You got to calm down and let it grow forward. All right. Okay. 56. And live in parts of their cells that they don't use as of yet. We can incarnate into anybody we want at any given time. And the reason we were hiding is because the devil is always on the lookout for us, like Merlin was, and the kingdom of Shinar, and all the Magi are always doing the stars for their alignments to see when we're coming back. When Jesus or Abraham or one of us is coming back. Like the 3 star alignments that are over my house that Malachi kept telling you all about, but you couldn't understand it. Go back and listen to all the True Light tapes. I have them all. He'll tell you, like, be prepared for the arrival of the return of Christ. I am that being. You understand? And these stellar alignments will tell you exactly where my house is and all of it. That's how the three wise men found me the first time. Are you following me? Okay, mute your phones. This is how it was done on behalf of myself, he said. And then I saw a little dark copper tone baby. And I went into his body. And he became the son of justice, also called Rabboni Yahshua Bar al-Hadi. I have visited the planet Earth 3 times. Let me explain where the word Earth comes from. Because this planet has had many names, depending on who is speaking about it and from which galaxy. One of the oldest names used when referring to Earth is Tiamat. Later it was called Ki. And finally it was called Eridu, means a home away from home, by a race of supreme beings called the Anunnaki, Elohim, who came here to Earth originally for the sole purpose of mining. Over 57,000 years ago, there are crafts called ziggurats, like you have in Mesopotamia, consisting of 7 stages, sloping upward into a pyramid form, 300 feet in height, or the crown-shaped shams, and they crashed down in the Arabian Sea on the southern tip of what is called Iraq today, and named that spot Eridu, or home away from home. There to eliminate the birth of any supreme being by, see, what I mean is these nurses and doctors, these white ones, they're looking out for us, and the way they see us, for one thing, it's not just a brownish red baby boy, but they're looking for the blue and green spots on our skin that some babies have, that know that you're from the planet Risk, because on planet Risk, the soil conditions are different than on Earth. It's made predominantly up of gold and platinum. It's crystalline, do you understand? So that we have a greenish blue skin like some of the pharaohs on the pyramids look blue and green, right? And that's why, because we landed on Mars and built a civilization 450,000 years before we came here, they still refer to us as the little green men on Mars. You understand? But these nurses and doctors, when they saw that one of us was born, they would take the baby from the mother and usher it off and inject it at the base of the spine with pencyclidine. That's the drug you call PCP, or angel dust. And what it did, because it was embalming fluid, is when your light travels up the light cord of your spine at night, like I described previously, when it got to the top of your neck, it would be blocked by that injection of angel dust, and you couldn't go to the crown molar to escape. And then you have ignorant people saying things like, I don't like that. You see, maybe their spine is blocked. Do you understand? And they can't understand. It just sounds like gibberish to them. They'll never be able to transform into an angelic being. And I'm sorry, and I'll do something to help them if they allow me. Okay, 71. There to eliminate the birth of any supreme being by an injection with the hypodermic needle into the base of the brain with a drug called PCP, phenyl cyclohexyl piperidine, called angel dust, which could reduce an angelic being to mere dust, injected into the hippocampus area in order to deaden the barotheric gland. In order to prevent this child must be born 12 midnight in the midst of a lightning storm as a shield. And this is why his mother and his relatives cited the presence of the great star on that Tuesday, 12 midnight. I've seen that star over my house, and I saw it in Brooklyn when I first met him again in the flesh. In the lunar log of the 26th point in June, when the planet called Earth positioned itself in the location of the revolution of Earth, year 19 and 40 and 5 of the Gregorian calendar. The weather filled with overcast of clouds and rain, a perfect cover for a mission. 29 of us came for that mission. We did not reinsert it into the hippocampus area of the brain. No, because this time, because the brain had grown over with the removal of the barotheric gland by surgeons, and that now it's going to be relocated in the hippocampus and in the submental, about the size of a walnut under your chin. You understand? But when it's reinserted, it doesn't mean that it's activated yet, so don't rush ahead of yourself. I know niggas feeling... Say it again. We did not... Okay, I love you. Give me 1 second to finish this. We did not reinsert it into the hippocampus area of the brain this time, but in the lower part of the chin, referred to as the submental area, being the sub or lower and mental that which reacts with the mind. There was no need for the replacement of the appendix because the appendix was there and would not be removed. Okay, which means I'm going to stop right now because it's time to move these stars. It's time to start doing things that guys do. But many of you all that have your tonsils and your appendix removed, you got to understand your tonsils and your appendix work in correlation with your barytheric gland to raise up your vibration so that it would pull your light up your spinal column so you could transform into a supreme being. But now, and see, white people don't know, they don't have a soul. So what the medical field tells you is your appendix and your tonsils don't serve no purpose. It don't serve no purpose in them. Everything in your body is placed there for a reason, brother and sister. Did you hear me? The white man is lying. So, but don't worry, because if they took your tonsils or your appendix out, we're going to replace them. If you one of us, we're going to replace them. That's why you all have 7 clones. We have 9 each. Do you understand? Now I have to leave this off and keep my promise to the brother that I told him he was going to move stars tonight. All right. So when you all need to go outside and tell me who's the first one going to move a star tonight. What do you see in London, Cheryl?
1 moment.
All righty, very good. Is somebody closer to a star than she is in London? Zybe, what do you see in Texas?
I'm going outside right now.
Very good.
Ow.
And we need you too, Amun.
Okay.
People, what do you see in Ohio? Amanda, what do you see in Virginia?
I can see a star, London. I can see a star.
Okay, you see a star? Okay. I'm closing my eyes. I see it too. What are you going to do with it, Cheryl?
Nice and bright. In the name of the moon, drop down. Okay, moving down.
I see it, yes.
Yep, moving down.
And I want y'all to know, don't think if she's in London that you can't see the star moving, that she's moving, because the reason I chose stars is because they're the only thing that's high enough in the sky for me to show everybody in the world at the same time in this hemisphere. Okay, go ahead. What else?
Okay, move to the left. In the name of the moon, move to the left. Bit wobbling, but yeah.
It did wobble. It went up and down. It wobbled up and down. Yeah.
Going left.
Yeah, I love you. Thank you for bearing with me.
Now move to the right. Still wobbling a bit.
It dropped down that time.
It's moving.
Yeah.
I love you. I love everybody that bears witness to the truth.
Okay. Now move.
And I can do this. I can do that. I can do these things because I am an Ilmut. I am one with Palababianu, and I was one of the 29 that came in 1970. I am the Messiah for this day and time. The last time. I'm the final elder. Okay, what else you going to do with it?
Clockwise circle. Moving the
Clockwise?
circle.
Clockwise?
Yep.
Okay.
Clockwise. Okay. Still wobbling a bit. But here we go.
Yeah, it is.
Moving. Yeah. Oh, dropping down.
It's moving.
Yeah, it's moving. Wow. Okay, thank you. Next person.
I love you. All right, what you going to move for, Zybe?
This star I see,
Okay. What are you going to do with it?
in the name of Amun-Rayay, the Messiah, go counterclockwise. It's going.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it's
Going a
moving.
little faster than it did for her, isn't it?
I can see
Right.
it.
I know, I see it. I want to make sure you know I see it, Zybe. I see what you're looking
Right.
at. Okay. One more move. You want to bring it
name-
closer?
All right.
Okay.
Now I'll bring it.
All right.
Let's do that.
All right, come closer in the name of Amun-Rayay to Zybe.
It's coming.
Yeah. Now go back up. Yeah. Now go back. All right. I love you, son. Next.
I love you. Thank you.
I love you. I love you more. We got one more person. One more person.
I'll go,
okay.
Since I haven't done it on here, I'll go.
All right. What are you looking at?
I'm looking at a star.
Okay. I see it.
All right. Okay. In the name of Amun-Rayay, move clockwise. And it's moving clockwise.
I love you.
In the name, I love you too. In the name of Amun-Rayay, raise up.
It's moving.
Going up.
It wobble.
In the name of Amun-Rayay, yeah. In the name of Amun-Rayay, drop down. Still wobbling, but it's dropping down. You got a little aura around it too.
Yeah, I'm making it brighter for you.
All right. In the name of Amun-Rayay, move to the right.
Okay.
It's moving right. In the name of Amun-Rayay, stop.
Okay,
Thank you, family.
There was one brother here. I promise. Where are you at? Let's move something with you tonight.
I don't see any stars in the sky right now, but would I be able to move something smaller, like something in my room?
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad. All that potential was in you. You follow me? And I do things like that. Let me tell you, I had one of my disciples was John Brown, and what part of Rhode Island? He in Rhode Island, and he couldn't even see the stars move at first, son. He couldn't move them, but he wanted so desperately to do it. He got on the jet and flew here to where I am. When he came up in the cab, it was dark, and I was standing in the parking lot of my corner, and I was moving the moon. And when he came out, I asked him if I gave him that ability, would he use all of his energy to help me finish raising 144,000? And he agreed to that, so I put my hand on his shoulder. And when I did, he could start moving all the stars and moons he wanted to. Anyway he wanted, he was so happy. But more than that, he kept on going. He was obsessed with OBE, or out of body astral flight. So he was getting spiritual packages from me, like all of you should be doing, getting these spiritual packages from me. Every time you can, get the spiritual packages. It's going to expedite your growth by quantum leaps. And he was learning how to come out of his body at will, walking around his bedroom, looking at himself on the bed. And then he would look at the ceiling and go up through his ceiling into the stars. He would stay up there in the stars. But then after that, when he loved his grandchildren, when they would come by, he would do things like take a mason jar, and he would take a cork, a wine cork, and then take a needle and stick in the cork real straight. And then he would take a piece of aluminum foil and fold it up into a line and bend it. And then he would stick it on the needle, on the head of the needle, kind of like a propeller. And then he would take a mason jar and lower it down over that wine cork and that needle and that piece of aluminum foil. And when it was airtight, he would get in front of his grandchildren and take his hands like he was rubbing the mason jar, but he didn't touch it, but he was using energy, going back and forth till he could get the aluminum foil to move a little bit more and more till he could get it revolving real fast like a propeller. And they would laugh. It tickled them. He would always do that. And that was a telekinesis thing right there. Okay? I understand. But moving the stars and moving the moon to me is a more powerful example of it. But yes, we have the ability to do those things. I'll tell you, son. When I was a little boy in elementary school in Miss Earl's kindergarten class, I used to take a pencil and put it on my desk and hold my flat palm over it and wherever I moved my palm, that pencil would follow me, just like a little girl playing with a bobby pin and a magnet. My hand, the energy from my hand would make that pencil roll all around the desk, everywhere I went. Miss Earl and then would be looking at me, asking me how I was doing it, but I could never answer. But I would always be looking out the window daydreaming while she was teaching whatever she was teaching. But when it was time for tests, I always had an A. I don't know. It was what it was. I was a very lonely child. I didn't play with other children. I spent time with older people and angelic beings all the time. I would read holy Bibles back and forth, whole sets of encyclopedia, get rocket ships and build model rockets that could actually fly and all these things. And I would stay by myself and rocking chairs, singing gospels. And I was a different type of a child. I was like that when I was Oppet, the Mahdi, in the Sudan, and Kordofan. I was the same type of child. I've never changed. And my love for you all is only getting stronger. But my fear for you is getting much greater, too, because I realize what time it is, and this thing you call time is almost up. And it's time to stop playing games and being lazy. You better get up and start working on this mission and bringing people home, because when you lead people to heaven, you got to know you get there first. Start getting people to heaven. Raise your family up and do your job. It's your mission. We are one divine love. And you all forgot to let me do a spiritual reading for you tonight. I am Amun-Rayay, Nitya Authority, Amun-Rayay, Asa, Messiah, servant to the 144,000 elite few purifiable souls. We are one eternal love. Stay close. Do your job. Peace.